Hello everyone, and welcome to our little webinar about doing business language brilliantly. Hasn't it been a wonderful conference so far? We'll just give people a couple of seconds to join in if anyone else is coming to this workshop. But it's been absolutely brilliant, of course, up to now. Really enjoyed watching the panel discussions and the keynote speakers, as I'm sure you have too. I must say I was really impressed by Sam's keynote speech earlier this morning, where he was talking about data. And I was very interested to hear that he has a background in classical languages as well, which is a great. He was talking a lot about using data brilliantly to do business brilliantly, which of course is a very important thing to consider. We all need data these days, don't we? And data is actually money. So the more data you've got, if you can monetize it, that's possibly something to look at as well. But we've also all heard, of course, that if you're not paying for something, then you are the product, because your data is what someone else is going to be making money out of. So lots of interesting information coming out of Sam. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is looking at doing language brilliantly. Or in other words, how not to murder your language, because we don't want to do that to language. Language is very important, and it's one of the things that murdering language, massacring it, and how not to do that. If you went to Sam Knowles' keynote speech earlier this morning, you might have heard he had a great quotation, one that I've written down I'm definitely going to keep, from a writer called Daniel Kahneman, I think his name was. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. But the quotation was about cats. I've got a cat, so this really resonated with me. Thinking is to humans as swimming is to cats. They can do it, but they'd prefer not to. Very true. Most cats do not like being anywhere near water. And it just got me thinking that we could perhaps change the purposes today. So I was thinking about language, of course. I'm always thinking about language. And language is to humans as hunting is to cats, perhaps. Would that make sense? Sorry, just starting something out here. So language is to humans as hunting is to cats. Better than others. I think that might work as well. If you've got a better idea, why not pop it in the chat and let us, because if we can work that one out a little bit better, that would be great. That was just my thought. Cats and hunting. Some of them are great at hunting, some not so good. But humans, just about everyone can be good at language. So we're going to take a look at that today and think about how to help you make little tweaks to how you use language so that you can be sure that you're doing it quite brilliantly and not massacring it ever. Right, let's make a start. I think I can share my screen with you. Do we have a few more people with us now, Kim?
We've still got a few. We've got three.
I must add then that Kim is joining us from Madrid today, where she's lecturing at the university there this week. And unfortunately, she's going to have to keep herself on mute when she's not actually speaking, because it's siesta time in Madrid. And apparently that means all the building work happens siesta time. Seems to be not really making sense, but okay. So when she does need to say something, we might find there's a little bit of extra noise in the background, but that way you all know what's happening. So we're going to run through very quickly who we are, Kim and I and the rest of our team, and what we do, just so you know why we're talking to you about language. Then we're going to do 3 sections of talking about specifics to do with language. First of all, some tips about making language work for your business. Then some further advice on how to make language work for your brand, which is also an aspect for us all to think about. Finally, we're going to look at some further development to make language work for you personally, what you can do. I'll summarise and give you a few ideas for next steps. So hopefully we'll get through all that. I haven't lost too much time with the computer glitches, and we'll get to the end. Please remember, you will get a copy of these slides later. Paula and others at the Swillette will be sending it out to everyone who wants it. And I'll give you our contact details at the end too, so that you'll have a way of reaching out if you have any more questions. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the chat, and Kim will be making a list of those and we'll try and deal with them right at the end of today's workshop. Right, so see if my laptop would like to move on to the next slide. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Yes, it does. So let's very quickly tell you a little bit about who we are. Most importantly, we are language experts. We help clients of ours with inter and intra-company communications. What that means is that we will help them with communication within the company, so employee newsletters, messages for all employees, as well as outside of the company, anything that's external, talking to customers, clients, suppliers, and so on. We do things like helping them draft good job ads to get the right applicants for their open positions. We do newsletters, messages, Christmas messages, all that sort of thing. We also have developed brand language guidelines. So just as you would have the colour values and your logo for your brand, the name of your company, we've also developed that for the language that companies use, so that that can be consistent as well. And I'll tell you a lot more about that in just a few minutes. We also help with digital best practice, hard to say sometimes. And the part that we really love, the storytelling. We help our clients tell really great stories so they attract the target groups that they want to attract. Now, before I get any further, I must also tell you, apart from the computer glitches, it's actually really good that we are doing this virtually. Excuse me. Because if we'd been face-to-face, I would have had to cancel. Unfortunately, I've been testing positive for COVID all week. So I'm a little bit croaky. Please do excuse me. Fortunately, the fact that we are all spread literally around the world means that you're not going to catch it from me. So that's a good thing. Right, let's move on. A little bit more about us. We've got a really strong team behind us. Kim is our legal and compliance officer. She actually lectures in law as well, so that's a really wonderful thing. That's what she's doing in Madrid. But all of the team have lived and worked in more than one country. We've all got wide-ranging professional experience and qualifications. Everyone speaks more than one language quite fluently. We've all got a real passion for language. It's something that we will talk about and bore everybody with, because we really are passionate about it and fascinated by it. And we all try and tell great stories as well. So that's who we are. What we're going to try and do with you today, to start with, is look at how you can work with language to make it work better for your business. We're going to look at a few things that can go wrong with language. Unfortunately, there are quite a few of them. Things like typos, easily confused words and phrases, not checking your work, not even knowing there's an error. So let's quickly just go through some of those areas. Starting with typos. Here are some examples for you. We've been working on the manual. I'll send it to you by the end of the day. I didn't really like the finish, but the colour choices were perfect. I'd like to order the black and the green versions. So just some examples that I've taken from emails and presentations that I've seen recently. And as you can see, there's an error in each of those examples. What they should be, of course, is manual with an A, finish with one N, and the word and as A-N-D. Now, those are fairly easy errors to spot and to solve, but it does mean that you need to look at them and check. Another thing that can go wrong is easily confused words and phrases, such as in this example, I heard your company were launching a new line. Or, oops, sorry, we're almost finished, but there will be time to edit later if necessary. Again, I'm sure you spotted those two errors. There's no spelling mistake, but it's the wrong kind of heard, and it's the wrong kind of there. So words that can be confused. Heard should, of course, have an A, and there, in this case, should be T-H-E-R-E. So those are really easy mistakes for anyone to make. Another problem you can have is not checking your work. So here's a sentence that I read recently, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, it looks all right. And I was like, hang on a minute. There's a couple of errors in there. There are actually 4 errors in that. Perhaps you can spot them all. 4 little errors. Nothing huge. You can still understand all of it. But here they are, right in the 3rd word, at the end of the 2nd line, and in the final line as well. Just little things that we all do if we don't check. Final thing that I thought we could look at that can go wrong is writing a text. You think it's great, it looks wonderful, it sounds good, it says exactly what you want it to say. But what you don't realise is that there's an error in it. So, for example, here, the cover is also available in a range of complementary colours. Show your new purchase off to perfection. I forget what this product was for. Was it coffee machine or something? I can't remember, sorry. But great, the cover's available in a range of complementary colours. Who wouldn't want that? Brilliant. But if you didn't know, you would send that out. Many people would. Unfortunately, there is an error in it. Here's another example. Don't forget 2 for 1 on our software licenses this week. Oh, sorry, this month. So if you're selling software licenses, a great offer for your customers and users, 2 for 1. There's an error in that as well. And it's a really common error that a lot of people make all the time. So here you can see the errors highlighted. Complementary should be with an E, and licenses is a plural. It just means more than one license, so there's no apostrophe. Actually adds meaning to a word. So when it's just a plural, we don't need to use it.
And I think it's also important to point out, especially when looking at not knowing whether there's an error or not rereading your work, is the wonderful autocorrect. And the autocorrect fails, which, let's face it, sometimes it does create quite a funny story if it's between friends and family. But sometimes in business, it's not going to look great if something autocorrects and you haven't checked it correctly yourself, and it gets sent out to your future customer or to your boss. So it's something to always think about now with technology, I think.
Absolutely, Kim. Yes, those autocorrect fails where the phone or your tablet makes a lovely mistake for you and changes the meaning of what you're saying. And if you haven't already looked into it, it's worth actually Googling, or other search engines are available, looking up some autocorrect fails, because people have made collections of them and they can be hilarious and really embarrassing for people as well. So yes, thanks, Kim. I didn't add that into the PowerPoint, but autocorrect fails can be a huge issue and cause some embarrassing problems. So what you can do, of course, is use a good English dictionary. If you think there's a word that you're not sure of, you've thought maybe there's another word that's similar, am I getting it quite right? Did I spell that correctly? Is there an alternative spelling? Look it up. We've suggested here the Cambridge English Dictionary because it's available free online. It's easy to use and it's free. Also, it uses British English. We'll come on to choice of language in a minute, but it uses British English, and it will give you a really great, simple explanation for what words mean and how to spell them. Here, you'll see, interestingly, with complementary with an E, it explains it, and also at the bottom suggests that you compare to complementary with an I. So you could look at both words and go, the one I need is, and make sure that you've got the right word. Okay. Another idea for checking your language. Again, we're just whizzing through some really basic ideas just to make sure that nobody forgets to try any of them when you're actually writing. We're going to move on to slightly more advanced ideas about using language for your brand in a moment. So just remember spell checkers and paying attention to text. If you're writing text in in software such as Word, for example, which is what I've given you screenshots of here, you will see that very often it will do little red lines underneath the word. That means there's a spelling mistake. It means this word does not currently exist in the English language as far as software. If it's the name of your company, you might want to add that to the dictionary, so it's not always underlining it in red. But otherwise, you might want to look at it and go, what's wrong with that word? The blue is really interesting, and it will sometimes underline in blue if it thinks you've got the punctuation wrong as well, which is very useful. What we've got here is we avoids. Well, once you look at it, you're like, oh, of course that's wrong, we avoid. But the blue line's there just to give you a heads up. Say, have a look at this. Are you sure this is what you want to say? And of course it might well be, or you might want to make it, make a change and correct it. Finally, when you're running your checks, you might want to do a spell check. That's something we advise all our clients always. Before you do a spell check, you need to confirm the proofing language. What language is your software checking for? Is it looking for American English or German or British English? So select all the text and choose English, UK, United Kingdom. Or if you want American English and you like colour spelt without a U, go for American English. Why not? So make sure that all of the text has been set to the language that you want to use, and then run the spell check. So again, on this slide, I've shown you how to do that if it's something you're not familiar with, and you will get a copy of these slides later so that you can look back and check them. Right. I mentioned here, select all the text. If you're not sure about that, you don't have to start at the beginning and go all the way down. Imagine if you've got an 18-page document, that would take forever. So Control A will select all the text in a document. Very, very useful for this sort of exercise. And also, just because I was making a slide for it, in case you don't know, Control F works just about everywhere. Something. I use it very often when I'm checking my language. When I've completed a text, I do Control F and look for the Z. Because American English uses lots, and a lot of British English will accept it as an alternative, but I prefer, for example, with the word realise or organise, to end with ISE. So the dictionary will say IZE is okay, but I don't like it. So I'll do Control F and look for Z and just check there are no inadvertent Zs in there. You could even use that in a PowerPoint. You can use it on a PDF. You can use it on a website. If you're looking through a website and you're looking for a specific word, use Control F. It works everywhere. It's brilliant. Right, so moving on. Making language work for your business. A little bit more help for you, some different ideas. A great tip is to ask a colleague, friend or family member to read over any text that you've prepared. They'll see things that you don't spot. You know what you want to say. You know it makes sense. In your own head, it's perfect. Show it to someone else and they might go, what did you mean by this? So it's really worth it if you can get someone else to read through and look at text for you. If you haven't got anyone else you can ask, then the best thing you can do is leave it till tomorrow to read through. Just having that break and looking at it again fresh the next day, you'll see things that you didn't see the first time round. Finally, another way that you can check is to read backwards. Start at the bottom and go up to the top. Again, that will make you concentrate on the words and the sentences as they are and make sure that they make sense. Kim, did you have anything you'd like to add?
I always like to use on Word, you've got the read aloud function, which reads the text back to you, and that sometimes helps you understand that something doesn't sound quite right. It's always a good one to use.
Yes, thank you, Kim. That's another great idea. I should have put that into the slide, shouldn't I? Brilliant, Kim. Yes, if you've got software that will give you a read aloud function, let your software run through your text for you and read it to you and listen. Does it make sense? Or is it stuttering over certain parts? So yeah, thanks very much, Kim. That's a great idea. Right, let's move on to the next part of our presentation, making language work for your brand. So we've looked at little things that you can do so that your business language is correct or mostly correct. But let's look at what you can do to improve the language you use for your brand. Now, when we talk about brand, we don't mean that you've got to have a great big name like Coca-Cola. Other sodas are available. But what I mean is, if you're a single person, a sole trader, you are your brand. Your name is your brand. So with my company, I've used my own name on it, Gera Solutions Limited. So that's my name. So I am really a major part of my own brand. And for many of you, that will be the case as well. But even if you work for a very large company, your language has got to work for the brand. So let's look at what we can do to improve language for your brand. We're going to look very quickly at knowing your target group, knowing how your brand is perceived, and how to speak to your clients and customers or users. So knowing your target group. If you don't know your target group, it's impossible to speak directly to the people you want to reach. You've got to work out who it is you're selling to. You need to know who they are and where they are. Are they next door to you? Are they in your town or city? Are they in the Swindon and Wiltshire area? In the south of England? In the UK? In Europe? Where are they? Maybe across the world in China somewhere. But wherever they are, it's important that you have an idea of where they are so that you know better how to speak to them. Then you need to know what it is they are looking for. Do they actually want and look for what you're trying to sell them? Or are they looking for something completely different? Can you tailor what you're offering to better meet their requirements? Another really important aspect of it is, can they afford you? What are you selling? What is your brand trying to offer? Can your target group afford it? Because if they can't, you're not going to get very far. But if they can, then you've got a great chance of success. And what does your target group want to achieve? Are you providing what they want to achieve? One of the best ways of answering all these questions is to create a persona, like an avatar, or several actually. I would say create several personas. Personas are imaginary people, your imaginary friends. And I'll show you in a moment an example of one that we prepared for a client of ours. We do this a lot. We make personas, and it gives you a really good idea of who it is that you want to talk to. So let me show you one of our personas. This is Fiona. Meet Fiona. Fiona's 44. She's here in the UK. She's the marketing manager of a small company. She actually manages a group of sort of 5 or 6 employees who work for her in her marketing department. Her background is she's got a BA in marketing. She did really well. She got a first in marketing. Where was she studying? Sheffield, I think. I can't quite remember yet. We put all these details into our personas. We make them real people and flesh them out. We find a photograph that we can use as well. And I'm sure, I think Kim's lost her camera for the moment. Otherwise, I'm sure she'd jump in and say, if you are choosing a photograph and you're going to use it in your company or outside your company, make sure that you have the right to do that. IP, intellectual property, also really important for every company. You don't want to use someone else's photograph if you haven't got permission. So
yeah, it's very, very important just to check that out if you're going to use anything graphic-wise in any presentations or slides. Sorry, I have lost my camera for a second. I don't know if it's with the work going on outside, but I'll try and get back up in as soon as I can.
That's okay. We can hear you, Kim. Thank you. So I wasn't sure if you were there at all or if we'd lost everything. So I'm glad you're there. Thank you. Yes, so thanks for helping us out with that. So yes, the intellectual property and having the rights to use the images, as Kim was saying. So this is a photograph that I took from a website that offers royalty-free images. So I believe I have got the right to use it. So anyway, so this makes Fiona for me and for our team. And as I said, she's a marketing manager. Her preferred method of communication, so go really drill down into detail. How does she like to communicate? She likes WhatsApp and social media. She doesn't like emails and phone calls, so don't phone her up. She doesn't like it. She's the marketing manager. Her goals are to streamline procedures and output from her team and to improve team output, team morale, team spirit, team output. Her biggest challenges at the moment are deadlines. She's really struggling to meet all those deadlines. And she manages to do that. Of course she does. She's brilliant. She's very hardworking. She works overtime all the time. Most days of the week, you'll find her at her desk late to the evening, sometimes at the weekends as well, making sure that she gets all those jobs done that have to be done. What she really needs is better project management software and scheduling, because she's not very good at it. So that's what she's really looking for. So once you know all this about Fiona, you could also know that she's married, her husband's a GP, so lots of strange time working there for him. They've got 3 children, school age. So all these things are important to give you a feeling for Fiona. Once you've got all those details, you can see that the parts in orange at the bottom are important to her. The challenges, the deadlines, the fact that she's working overtime, she needs better project management software and scheduling. When you know all that, you can speak directly to Fiona and to members of your target groups who are similar to Fiona. Because if you're selling software, you know the benefits that she will really like, that will resonate with her, are managing her team better. If your software will help her do that, she'll want it. If your software will help her to improve team spirit, again, she'll be like, I need that. And if your scheduling will perhaps make if your software will make scheduling easier, again, that's going to make her prick up her ears and go, this could be interesting. Now, if your product is in-car entertainment, you can't help her manage her team, improve team spirit, or make scheduling easier. So how can you tie that in to what you know about this kind of person? Your in-car entertainment will make life easier because the benefit could be spend less time searching. So someone like Fiona, they don't want to know how loud is it, how well can you adjust the treble and the bass or whatever else it is people do with their in-car entertainment these days, but will it help me find what I want to listen to? If it will be quick for me to find things, maybe I want it. So knowing your personas will really help you to speak to your target group using points that will be interesting to them. You also need to know how your brand is perceived. What do people think about your brand? The only way you can do that is to ask. So, does your brand have the image that you think it does? You think it's a great premium product? Do people on the street go, oh yeah, that one's quite nice and cheap? How do people look at it? How is it valued and who values it? How do people talk about it, especially when you're not around? So you need to get some anonymous surveys going, get people that are not known to your target group to go out and talk to them, focus groups perhaps, to find out what people think when you're not around, because there's no point in them saying to your face, oh, I love your brand, it's brilliant, I see it as a real market leader. And the minute you've left the room, they go, oh God, I hate that product. So you really need to know what they're saying when you're not there. You'll also need to look at what aspects of your product or services do people really like the best. That's what to keep promoting more. And is there anything that they don't appreciate? Because if it's not important to people, why are you still trying to sell it? And finally, what do they all want your brand to do? Once you know all this, you can choose the words that your clients or customers would prefer. You can decide which words and descriptions consistently work best in the past, and if there's anything to avoid, especially if there's anything that might cause problems for your brand or pose reputational risk, any negative connotations or reputational risk. I'm going to show you an example now. Here's something we worked on with one of our clients when we were preparing brand language guidelines for them. Now, we went into to a book, really, that's at the moment, our part in it is about 120 pages long. We wrote about 120 pages about how to talk about manufacturer. As you can see in this image here, this is one of the images that we've helped prepare, so we do have the rights to use it and to show it to other people. And once you know more about your language and the people who are looking at your product, your personas, you can really target them very specifically. You'll see here we've got 3 personas: Henrietta, Charlie, and Roland. Henrietta likes to show them what great taste she's got, that she buys the best possible products, that they are really design pieces. So we use words such as impressive, stylish, striking, and she likes and what's important to her, she wants to achieve. On the other hand, when we're talking to Charlie, Charlie's really down to earth. She loves going out and discovering new things, trying new foods, new recipes when she's in the kitchen. She travels a lot and she brings home really useful and convenient, that she can rely on it, that it's practical, because she can try different things with it. Roland, on the other hand, he works really long hours, he works really hard, and he likes to come home and maybe on a Friday evening spend hours preparing some lovely food for his family in his lovely kitchen. Chopping vegetables, preparing foods, cooking is a relaxing activity. So he wants to know that he's got this trusty companion helping him, familiar, it's reliable, it's dependable. So all those sorts of words and ideas and images, what will help someone like Roland want to buy this product. So again, targeting the words that you use to the specific types of person who might be your customers or clients or users would be a really helpful way of using language for your brand. Right, a few more minutes and then we'll see if you have any questions. So the final point that I wanted to look at today is making language work for you. We've looked at making it work for your business, making it work for your brand. And how about you personally? The one thing that's really important to remember is that language is a tool just like any other. Nobody is born knowing language perfectly. Babies start to hear language in the womb as they develop as into toddlers and small children. They start trying out language. And we all know that children sometimes don't make sense because they're just trying things out and babbling, and it gets better and better and better as they learn. And that's how we all learned. We all learned our mother tongue by listening and trying and practicing. And we didn't know what we were doing in the beginning, but then we realized that if we said more, we got more. We're like, oh, that made sense. That works with sign language. And your brain is developed. If you want to be bilingual, have absorbed 2 languages. Child, you might have learned a second foreign or other language. And again, people think it's a lot easier when you're a child, but you can continue to learn about life. It might be easier as a child. That also is because you don't have the stresses of adult life when you're a child. So you can do it even now. If you want to go out there and learn Vietnamese, give it a go one day. So language is a tool, and you can continue to learn all the time, even your own language. Perfect. No too many words, too many grammatical constructions. So everybody can continue to learn. It's important to remember that you must use it or lose it. If you don't use it, you will start forgetting things. Think about all the things you learned back at school. In the dim, dusty past, if you're not using them now, they start to go. So if you're using it, your confidence will increase. At the beginning, sometimes you have to pretend that you're confident, And I can tell you now that every public speaker has nerves. It's okay. You just have to pretend and go, it's all right. I do know a bit about what I'm talking about, so it's fine. And we all have computer glitches now as well, and that just happens. So confidence is really important, and it will reflect in your business, in everything that you do, because everyone will realize that you're doing something you know about. And when you do know what you're doing a little bit more, then you can really more easily do business brilliantly. And that's what we want you to do, is to be doing your business more and more brilliantly, which is a very awkward grammatical construction, but I'm sure you understand. Right, so to summarize, we've shown you that knowing which words work best for you and your brand makes you the expert. And really, it stops you from murdering the language. All those little errors that we showed you at the beginning, when you get a copy of these slides, take another look at them all, think about it. We're all guilty of making errors. It's perfectly normal. Think about how you can check better. What can you do to make sure in your next few texts that you have to write that there are fewer and fewer errors? Nobody can guarantee 100% error-free work, but it can be better. So don't murder it, get better with it and do it brilliantly. Check your work, we've talked about that. We've talked about really knowing your customer or client or user, whatever you want to call them, because when you know them, you can speak more directly to them and what you say will resonate. If you're using language that works with your customers, they're more likely to come back to you and do more business with you. So that really does help you do business brilliantly. We've also looked at choosing your words very carefully, choosing the best words for every situation, and practicing. The more you practice, the more likely you are to know what you're talking about. Right. Finally, as I said earlier, you're never too old to stop learning. And there's a lot of help available. Much of it is free, much of it is asynchronous and can be accessed online. Asynchronous courses, learning, webinars are brilliant because all it means is that you can go and look at it anytime you want. Sunday afternoon, no problem. Thursday morning, absolutely fine. If it's asynchronous, you can go to it when you want it. So the SWILEP, the Swindon and Wiltshire Local Enterprise Partnership, which is the reason why we're all here today, they offer such brilliant help. Loads of experts to help you, to guide you through different aspects of business, lots of webinars, lots of courses, face-to-face, online. It's all available through the SWILEP. Recommend, if you haven't already looked at everything that they're offering, please do. Sign up to the hub, get in touch with the wonderful people like Paula and Letitia, Melody and all the other experts, and they will tell you all the ways that they can help you to do business and make it absolutely brilliant. So the SWILEP is a great resource to keep looking at. A lot of the courses are also free or funded, subsidised, so even if you don't want to spend too much money on it, there's a lot that you can learn. I would also recommend that you look at the Chambers of Commerce. You don't have to live in a particular area to be a member of a Chamber of Commerce. So maybe the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce is useful for you, or one further north or further east or west. Look at what they're offering. Your trade association can also help. A lot of them offer help, webinars and courses. The FSB, the Federation of Small Businesses, is incredibly useful for anyone who's got their own company or works in small business. And of course, also LinkedIn. It's free, and there are lots of courses available on LinkedIn that you can sign up for that are free. Then there are MOOCs, massive open online courses that are run by platforms such as Coursera or edX, and lots of universities sign up to offer some of their degree courses even free of charge. So you can visit this course and watch all the lectures and try some of the work, and it's free. It's an amazing opportunity. Now, Kim is a lecturer at Durham University, and I believe that Durham University also offers some MOOCs, some massive open online courses that anyone, yep, I can see her nodding, that anyone can visit. So give it a go, have a look, see what's available, what do you actually see that's interesting, a business course, a law course, a design course. It could be anything, and give it a go. And finally, of course, there is also local adult education, and there are some great courses available to all of us in our local adult education centres. So do have a look at those and see if there's anything that you think you could benefit from. Right, that's just about the end for me today and for Kim. So thank you all for listening to us, and good luck with doing business brilliantly. As I keep saying, you'll get a copy of these slides later. We've put our contact details onto them as well, our emails and our phone number, and there's a link to our website there. If you've got any questions, do get in touch with us anytime and ask. We're always happy to help. As I told you at the beginning, the one thing we're passionate about is language. So if you've got a language related question, we would love to help you.